Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another stream. Here we are on the extra channel. So good to see a few of you in the chat, Ricky there, and yeah, it is Dwars Vlaanderen. We are basically in the thick of it right now. We've got a group of Niels Pollitt. Let's just go through that again. We've got a group up the road. Of course, it's very spread out, really, but we've seen that Ineos Grenadiers and Quickstep Alpha Vinyl, the two mega teams here, are starting to really take up the responsibility with 70 kilometers to go. But up front, five guys. We've got Niels Pollitt, the former Tour de France stage winner, of course. Johan Jacobs is the sole movie star rider up here. We've got O'Brien from Bike Exchange, and we've also got Vliet from the Bingo team, and also a Dutch rider that I'm not going to pronounce because that would just be absolutely atrocious. But great to have you all here on the Cycling Dane Extra channel, of course. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 1,000 on this channel, and yeah. But 69 kilometers left now, and we're getting very close to the finish, and well, closer. But at the front, we're seeing Ben Turner, not at the front of the peloton. We're seeing Ben Turner really pushing on here. What are Ineos Grenadiers doing here? That is the big question. Are they working for Ethan Hayter? We're going up the Berg 10 Hoyte, which is 1.1 kilometers long, averages 6%, and maxes out at 21%. So a proper cobble climb. But we're seeing Connor Swift up here, the very strong powerhouse by Craig Samsic, struggling to hold the front here. We're seeing Quinn Simmons as well. So Ben Turner, Quinn Simmons, and Tom Pidcock, I think, is on the wheel of Ben Turner. Yeah, it is Tom Pidcock. So they're putting a lot of pressure on here, Ineos Grenadiers. They're trying to string it out. Mathieu van der Poel is bridging across here to Tom Pidcock. So unfortunately for Tom Pidcock, he's not going to get rid of his cyclocross rival. But it's all still to play. Like, it's really starting to heat up here. Of course, we have got Tadej Pogačar in this race. And what are we saying here? Good sound. Yeah, good. The sound is good. I've reduced it, courtesy of last time. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. And yeah, I feel a bit better. Victor Campenaerts is up here as well, but Tom Pidcock is now doing a turn. So we got a plethora of cyclocross riders up here in this. Well, not the front group, but the group emerging from the peloton group, from the favorites group, and of course there is still that five-man group up the road. So it's all still to play for. Great to have you here, John, with us as well. And yeah, currently in our poll, the big one of the headlines is that Tadej Pogačar is in this race, the Tour de France winner. Like, I had to say that, but yeah, see what he can do at the start. He said that this wasn't necessary. Well, at an interview at the start of the race, he said this wasn't necessarily to prepare for the Tour de France. It was just because he loves bike racing, and this is well, these are some of the biggest. He said he wants to race in the home of cycling, and yeah, why not? I think it's so incredible to see that he's doing that. That he's kind of taking the well, not just being content with going for the Tour year after year after year, as we've kind of seen with well, the man who shall not be named, Lance Armstrong. But yeah, Thies Benoot is in this group as well. Stefan Kung is up here. Mathieu van der Poel in this group that's breaking away now. So Quickstep Alpha Vinyl, again, not being able to put a man in the right place here. What are they doing when it comes to these Flandrian Classics? So unfortunately for them, it looks like it's not going to be their day again. And this is, yeah, it's just a shame for them, really. I don't think that they'll be able to. Well, we're still 68 kilometers out, but who would they be working for here? Kasper Eskrein, Fabio Jakobsen? Not quite sure, but yeah, if you're sitting there drinking your coffee, maybe with a Cycling Dane mug, yeah, do let me know who you think's going to win today. We'll probably start a poll a bit later on. We still are 67 kilometers out. 2 minutes is the gap between this elite six-man group chasing. So literally now it's what would you call it? Straight up drag battle between this six-man group that look very motivated, and the front group with five riders who have, of course, been out there for a long time. We have had, as always, on these Flandrian races, we've had a number of crashes already. But in the main bunch, so not Group 2 with Mathieu van der Poel, but in the peloton, we are seeing AG2R Citroën And it looks like Quickstep, Alpha Vinyl are the teams that are trying to do some work here at the front. But yeah, we saw it in Gent-Wevelgem, how they didn't work together, and not working together, how quickly the advantage can go out. And yeah, unfortunately, DSM are even in here. What are you doing here, DSM? Søren Kragh Andersen, I'm not even sure if Søren Kragh Andersen is on the start line here. But the next climb is the Canary Bag. It's not that long, 152 meters long. No, sorry, that's the elevation gain. 900 meters long, and it averages 8.8%, and it gets quite tricky, well, quite steep at the top half of it. But yeah, so we've got 11 riders out in the front. 11 riders in front of the main peloton, and yeah, all still to play for, really. But we're quite far away. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 climbs before we get to the finish. So there's still a lot of things that could happen here. But Quickstep, Alpha Vinyl, and DSM remember DSM? They're the teams that are trying to really put on the pressure. Groupama FDJ also kind of just getting in the mix. They have got Stefan Kung in that second group on the road, but Nils Pollert, I think he's starting to realize that riders are coming up from behind, so he's injecting a bit of pace. They've already lost 5 seconds since we talked about the deficit, so yeah, it's getting very, very close now. And now we're on the Canary Bag. So remember, 1 kilometer long, 7.7% average, and this could take potentially another 30 seconds out of that advantage. So yeah, all still to play for. But I don't think the front group are going to be lasting for much longer. If I'm honest, I think it's not going to be their day for much longer. And they could potentially be caught. Well, I don't think they're gonna. I think they might get caught before 50 kilometers to go. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Tom Pidcock is pushing on. Victor Kampenaerts, the hour record holder, still is pushing on. Mathieu van der Poel pushing on as well. Who has missed out on this break? Tadej Pogačar. There's no Wout van Aert, of course. And then Quickstep, Alpha Vinyl, of course. One of the teams that we would have assumed would have been in here in the mix, but yeah, it looks like the Belgian super team, Belgian classic specialist. Are they anymore? But yeah, great to have you here, Eric, as well in the chat. And yeah, do let me know who you think is gonna win. I do appreciate it's on the extra channel. So thanks guys for joining. I just thought main channel we try and do the monuments, the big stage races, and then here on the kind of small races we'll do on this channel and try and get this to grow, because we have some ideas with this as well. But 64 kilometers to go, 1 minute and 53 seconds between the front 5 riders and the second group on the road. That includes Mathieu van der Poel, includes Tom Pidcock, includes Victor Kampenaerts, and even Thies Benoot. So plenty of big hitters in that group. Mathieu van der Poel has of course won this race before in 2019. And yeah, he'd probably love to win this race yet again, but yeah, it's just disappearing now. The climb they're on now, the Canary Bag, is not a cobble climb, so mistake by me there. But there are 2 Ineos Grenadiers riders in that 6-man group chasing the front group, Ben Turner and Tom Pidcock. Ben Turner, of course, Neopro heralding from Doncaster, where our own Jack heralds from as well. Tadej Pogačar is at the front end of the peloton now. Mads Pedersen has missed out as well. Julius Johansson is up there. Quickstep one of their riders are attacking off the front now, off the peloton. So let's call it Group 1. Oh, it's Stibar. I think Stibar is just injecting a bit of pace. It's a race of cyclocross riders. So former cyclocross world champion himself, 2-time I believe, is just injecting some pace at the front. Tadej Pogačar is choosing to try to follow this move. He's closing the gap here. He's got a Jumbo-Visma rider marking him. And how dangerous is Tadej Pogačar in this race? According to you guys, quite dangerous, because 36% of you have voted for him to take the win today. And who knows if that will happen. But Zdeněk Stibar grimacing on his face, and Tadej Pogačar just making the catch here, bridging up to the Czech rider. And the field is just being strung out here. But yeah, we were talking about the deficit. Yeah, the deficit has gone down by 30 seconds, as predicted by yours truly. So it's 1 minute and 20 seconds now between the 6-man group with the 2 Ineos Grenadiers riders and Mathieu van der Poel to the five front riders. So Nils Pollard or someone like that, they will need to do an attack if they're going to hope to stay away here. But yeah, who is that marking Tadej Pogačar? Greg Van Avermaet is trying to make a move here as well. He of course is one of the riders who hasn't been able to get up that join that move, shall I say. Greg Van Avermaet, of course, always seen as like this big hitter in terms of Cobble Classics. Of course, a former podium finisher at the Ronde van Vlaanderen and Paris-Roubaix winner. But that is a few years ago now. He did finish third in Omloop Het Nieuwsblad this year. So maybe. Thanks for subscribing as well, Nuno Silva. Great to have more people join. So what are we saying here? Eric Brown, working from home. I hope it's an exciting finish. And Mathieu van der Poel wins. And then it's worth me skipping my morning meetings. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. Yeah, thank you all for joining us, especially, I know it's a weekday as well. But Tadej Pogačar is putting some pace on here and trying to get away from this peloton group. And yeah, Tadej Pogačar, oh, this is very, very interesting. Great to have you here, Josh, as well. But Tadej Pogačar, when there aren't any cobbles, just disappears up the road. And yeah, Mathieu van der Poel is putting the pace on in the second group. Remember, we have that second group with 6 riders. And then Tadej Pogačar is now the third group. He's 11 seconds away from the second group. So Tadej Pogačar just putting on a monster move here. A monster move by the Slovenian superstar here. Absolutely tremendous riding from him. He wants to come here. He says it's the home of cycling. And he's just putting in the effort. He's shown us how good he is on the gravel. He's shown us how good he is on uphill, on the time trial. Is there anything he can't do? Losing seems to be what he can't do. Milan-San Remo, but I think he tried his best effort. I think it was a valiant effort by him to try and win in Milan-San Remo. It's a very hard classics to win. Of course, built as a sprinter's monument, but it's not really that. Nevertheless, I digress because we're not at the Milan-San Remo. And if you're wondering where Ewan is preparing our Tour of Flanders preview that will be coming up later today on the main channel. So have a look out for that. It's also going to be on the podcast, of course. 61 kilometers, and Tadej Pogačar can see the other riders in front of him. He's got 11 seconds between him and those riders, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can close that gap here. But yeah, 37% of you of the people who have voted, it looks like they are gonna. It is going to be a Tadej Pogačar victory. So maybe he heard you guys. But anyways, we were talking about the gaps between the first group and the second group, and of course the third group right now is Tadej Pogačar. But it's 1 minute and 10, so it's already come down 45 seconds in the space of 7 kilometers. So Nils Pollard, Johan Jacobs, they'll have to do something here, and the other riders who I don't know that much about, they'll have to do something here if they're going to hope to stay away. 60 kilometers now to go. Thies Benoot pushing on in this Jumbo group. But I mean, Ineos Grenadiers have 2 riders in there. So if I was the other riders, I'd be like, well, come on, use up Ben Turner, use up Tom Pidcock. Why are we doing all the work? You've got more riders, more players, more cards to play, if you will. But Tadej Pogačar, 1 minute and 22 seconds from him to the start of the race, front of the race, and 1 minute and 8 seconds for the second group. So that advantage now, they'll know that Tadej Pogačar is wanting to join that group. So would they just put in that bit more pressure? I wouldn't want to have Tadej Pogačar come up to this party. I would keep him at bay. I'd be like, no, it's enough with Mathieu van der Poel. We don't need another one. But it does look like they're waiting up here. They are taking it easy. Stefan Kung, Thies Benoot. Okay, they were coming down a downhill section, so that's probably why they took it a bit easy. But yeah, 16 seconds. So it's hovering between 16, 15, 20 seconds between Tadej Pogačar and the second group on the road. Can he close it? We'll have to wait and see. If anyone's going to do it, it would be the likes of Tadej Pogačar, Wout van Aert. Mathieu van der Poel, but that group he's trying to close the gap to is a very strong group, and yeah, if they can leave him hanging there for, I don't know, 20, 30 kilometers, and then he comes to the group, then it might be a very exhausted Tadej Pogačar that we have. So that could be very good. So I think, but then they're wasting energy as well. But if you know, riding in a group, you do save a lot of energy just by drafting. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they will actually think of that. Are they worried about Tadej Pogačar? That's another thing. And we've dipped into 58 kilometers to go now. And what is coming up for the riders? We've got what have we got? We've got the Knottenberg coming up. Not. We've got a bit of a stretch before we've got about, I would say, 10 kilometers until the next climb. Then we got kind of a succession of 3 climbs, and then 10-ish kilometers before we get the penultimate climb, and then we get the final climb up Hopstraat. So all these roads are, of course, very intertwined with Gent-Wevelgem and the Tour of Flanders as well. But yeah, 58 kilometers, still not over by any means. The peloton could still catch everything, but of course, in these classics kind of groups, classic kind of races, we know that they do go a lot harder, and it's a lot harder to close the gaps because of the nature of the terrain and so forth. But yeah, Tom Pidcock. It is going to be interesting what he can do. He's not really got the form as of now. He's, yeah, of course, world cyclocross champion, which was incredible. Victor Kampenarts is riding second wheel. What can he do? He finished on the podium on Omloop, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check that. But Tadej Pogačar, 17, 18 second gap here. I don't think he's going to close it that easily. I think he was thinking it was going to be a lot easier than he actually thought. And yeah, he's just being dangled now. Everyone hates being dangled. What he really needs is a very steep climb, but that's not going to come until 8-9 kilometers. So yeah, I'm not sure this is the wisest move by him. I would drop back, rely on the Quickstep DSM boys, his own riders as well. I saw Matteo Trentin was in that group, so yeah, I don't know. Is he just a bit overexcited here? Wants to get in the thick of it. Why didn't he not just stay on the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel? Lots of questions, but was he just in the wrong position as well? It is his... Yeah, well, he said he's raced some of these races when he was a junior, but it's a very different level. Just look, like we said, look at the winners of the Tour... Well, okay, no, winners of the Tour de l'Avenir and winners of the Tour de France. It's quite similar right now. But I mean, for Gent-Wevelgem, for instance, the juniors in that, or compared to the winners of the real ones, I don't think there's many similar ones. But 55 seconds now. So in the space of 10 kilometers, they've reduced the gap. This 5-man group by 1 minute to the five riders at the front. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. Oh yeah, by the way, apologies for the WTF video with Warren Buggy. I think the music was a bit too loud, but yeah, it'll be better for the next one. So apologies for that. I will actually do an American one as well. So yeah, that will be fun. I hope you, because so many of you are from across the pond, so why not do an American? So I won't say which one, but you can probably guess it, to be fair. But 56 kilometers, 50 seconds now is all that Nils Pollard and his 4 breakaway companions have to the Mathieu van der Poel, Mathieu van der Poel group with Tom Pidcock and others. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can, how long they can hold this gap out for now. And yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button. Let's try and get 100 likes today. We are on, what are we on, 16? Of course, it's still quite early days. And yeah, thanks Eric Brown. Always, yeah, well, I appreciate you guys being here. So if you guys weren't here, it would just be myself talking to myself. And I'd probably be put in some kind of a hospital. But 55 kilometers, 48 seconds, so it's just decreasing a bit. Johan Jacobs is up here, the Swiss rider riding for Movistar. The Movistar, I think the Movistar Netflix series has dropped again, Series 3. Let's just check. Great to have you here. Yeah, John, Ricky, Josh, Eric, I think you're all across the pond, aren't you? in the lovely country of USA. But yeah, 48 seconds. I'm not sure if it's frozen the distance because it's not going that quickly anymore. 1 minute and 22 seconds. Tadej Pogačar, he's losing. Like Tadej Pogačar, I think has just sat up now. I think he's realized that it's probably a bit too much of a gap to claw back here. So looks like Tadej Pogačar has just sat up here. Yeah, so what has he got? He's got 30 seconds deficit to, or more than 30 seconds to the second group on the road with Mathieu van der Poel. So yeah, he's still got Matteo Trentin in there, and I'm pretty sure he has more UAE Team Emirates riders. But he is going to the Ronde van Vlaanderen for the first time, and that is going to be very interesting. Of course, he is the current defending champion of 2 monuments, so yeah, can he win it? That is the big question. Eddy Merckx is the last rider to have won it, while being the defending Tour de France champion, of course. But Tadej Pogačar, such a phenomenal rider. But yeah, that group, the second group, they've just managed to withstand getting caught by Tadej Pogačar. Tadej Pogačar is back pretty much in the bunch now. So the third group on the road now is the peloton. So they're about, yeah, what are they? 45 seconds down on the second group. Then we've got 45 seconds from the second group up to the main group. So I think we're going to have the catch in about 10 kilometers, if that. What are we saying? We should all meet up with you in the summer since he's in the US for a bit. Yeah, do that by... Oh, crash. Oh, don't worry, I'll get a screen grab of that because that was quite a spectacular. I think it was just a touch of wheels here, and yeah, that was an AG2R Citroen rider who just took a tumble there, and it was very close to Tadej Pogačar. So that's the thing as well. If you're doing these races, yeah, you can easily break a collarbone. Oh, one thing, while we have such a US audience, I saw that NorCal, who makes really good videos, I really like him, he said it cost him $500 or something like that for a broken collarbone. $500! That's crazy. Anyway, and they were going to be charging $5,000, and if he didn't have insurance, it would cost him $200,000. 200,000. That's crazy. That would absolutely wreck your bank account for definitely a decade if you're not a pro cyclist, for instance. Well, even pro cyclists. Yeah, that was a big crash here. It took down an Alpecin Phoenix rider, Bike Exchange rider. That was, yeah, I think it might have been a touch of wheels, and I think it could have been the touch of wheels of Tadej Pogačar, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a big crash, big crash, and Tadej Pogačar could definitely have been caught up there. Yeah, subscribe to the Cycling Dane Extra channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get it to 1,000. Well, it would be nice to do it before the Giro. Just so we have, like, can do something a bit more, not so a bit different as well. Like you might have seen Ewan's hike as well to the Paris-Nice. But 52 kilometers, 42 seconds. The bunch is 1 minute and 20 seconds away from the front group. And yeah, they're not really putting the onus on Ineos Grenadiers in the second group to kind of do the work. So yeah, where is Ewan going? I think he's going to Texas. So Texas, and yeah, I want to go to San Francisco. I think it's the wrong side. But that'll be next year. So hopefully Tour of California comes back, and then we can all meet up at the Tour of California. That would be epic. But UAE Team Emirates, they're doing the work here at the peloton, and who is that? That is quite a big figure. It might have been one of the Oliveira brothers. I think it might have been Rui Oliveira. But 52 kilometers, 35 seconds now, still coming down. I'm thinking the catch will probably be about 44 kilometers, but of course, or it might even be by that next climb that we got, because yeah, it's it's interesting. But yeah, 36 seconds. It's 1 minute and 16. They're definitely losing a lot of ground here. And what would you do? Nils Pollard should probably, well, we don't. That's the thing as well. We don't know the levels of energy of the riders. That would be a great metric if you could have that. Yeah, what are we saying here? Edmondson, Narsen, Frinson. So it was Oliver Narsen then who was the AG2R rider. Thanks for that, Ricky. Cofidis are pushing on. Why are Cofidis pushing on? Who have Cofidis actually got in this race? A team that you forget so much about that. Well, actually, no, Guillaume Martin is very good. Brian Kokar, maybe? Oh, they've got Jelle Valles. Jelle Valles, a very good rider. Two-time winner of Paris Tours. But yeah, so a Belgian rider. Jan Tratnik coming to the front for Bahrain victorious. Jan Tratnik has just been absolutely, improving so much. And if you're thinking Matej Morahic, no, he's not here. They have got Heinrich Hausler up here. Heinrich Hausler, why do I think Flanders? Yeah, second place in the 2009 Tour of Flanders. He came second to Stijn de Volder, two-time winner himself, of course. But what are we saying here? I'll vote for you in the next election if you get universal healthcare. Bernie or bust, that's what I say. But of course, you're not surprised. Danish. So not really the greatest secret there. But yeah, anyway, 51 kilometers to go. 21 seconds. It's starting to disappear quite quickly. I think we're going to see this 5-man group at the front become an 11-man group shortly, and then everyone's just going to be holding on to see if they can make it here. And Josh is in Texas, so what is the nature of his visit? I have no idea. Well, I think he's going to come on at some point, so we can quiz him on that, or you guys can quiz him on that. But 51 kilometers left now. It's getting very, very interesting. Well, it will get very interesting if the bunch can close the gap. They have closed the gap here to the second group on the road. Tadej Pogačar moved his way up. They've nearly made the catch, it looks like. Yeah. Wait. Let me just go back there because I think I just missed something here. Stefan Kung is leading up the second group. Second group on the road. But it looks like Tadej Pogačar and Greg Van Avermaet were trying to make a move to catch that group. Of course, we were saying that they needed to do something here. But it's the Jan Tratnik who managed to make the gap here. Jan Tratnik. So Jan Tratnik has formed his own group, and Tadej Pogačar and Greg Van Avermaet were trying to not miss out on that. So Jan Tratnik just so solid right now. But yes, 18 seconds now, so it looks like the catch is going to be a lot sooner than 44 kilometers here, unfortunately. So unfortunately, I'm wrong on that occasion. What are we saying here? We need people who will work for it. But here we go. DSM, who is that? Is that well, I was going to say friend of the channel, but I've never spoken to Søren Kragh Andersen. Søren Kragh Andersen for DSM. I can't see who it is. If anyone knows, who is the DSM rider? But Tadej Pogačar has made it up, so he is in this third-man group, and this is what he should have had before. He should have come away with the other group. Yeah, so we're talking about universal healthcare in the chat, but we dip below 49 kilometers to go. 12 seconds from that 5-man group at the front to the 6-man group, and then 22 seconds for Tadej Pogačar and his new breakaway buddies. That includes Greg Van Avermaet, includes Jan Tratnik. So yeah, Slovenia, they're just ripping up all the races, up, down, Cobbles, time trials, doesn't matter. Yeah, getting a bit crazy. This very small group. And what are we saying? Mathieu Trentin leading Tadej Pogačar, fourth wheel. Good spot there, Ricky. I think I just missed that. Did Trentin make it into the group? No, yeah, okay. So Trentin isn't in this group here, but yeah, he let him out before, so I was just behind there on the chat. But yeah, what was that? Greg Van Avermaet. That was very like the bike exchange. What was it called? I can't remember. Bike exchange sports director. But 10 seconds is all that's left now. 8 seconds between the second group and the first group on the road. But it's very tense here between the groups now. And in the fourth group now, we've got an Ineos Grenadiers ride. I think Connor Swift is in that group as well. So yeah, the peloton has absolutely been decimated with riders just escaping up the road. But yeah, do have the catch now. There is a big conglomerate of riders up at the front right now, and I said 44 kilometers to go. They actually did it in 48. So this 11-man group, they have a 23-second gap down to Tadej Pogačar and the counter move, you would say, with Greg Van Avermaet. But Thies Benoot in here, the sole rider from Jumbo-Visma, just putting in a bit of pressure. Victor Campenaerts as well. There's a lot of Belgian riders up here. All of them would love to take the victory here. Mathieu van der Poel is in a very good situation here. And maybe they can just get this group to work together because they know that dangerous group with Greg Van Avermaet and Tadej Pogačar are coming up. I think it's Søren Kragh Andersen. And okay, here he is. Søren Kragh Andersen, Brian Coquart, Valentin Madouas. That's the riders we weren't talking about as well. That's fine, Josh. I think it's crazy. We were talking about the NorCal, how he's being charged $5,000 for a broken collarbone, and I think that's crazy. And he's like, well, it would have been 200,000. That was the gist of that conversation. But yeah. Anyway, back to the race at the front. It is getting very tense here. 47 kilometers to go. 23 seconds between that 11-man group now. We'll have to see how many of them can actually sustain being up here. Mathieu van der Poel. Well, how long are they going to stay in here? Nils Pollard is very strong as well. We don't know how strong they are. That's the thing. How much have they got left in the tank here? That's another question. And yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? Lots of good stuff coming up on the extra channel. But yeah, 47 kilometers. Victor Campenaerts trying to move away here. No one really following the hour record holder. Do you really want to let him disappear up the road? We all know that he can do an hour pretty well. Yeah, okay, it was in Mexico, not in Flanders, but yeah, he's still a really good tester. But I mean the climbs, that is the big caveat here. And no, he just looks up. He sits up here. Victor Campenaerts. Ben Turner coming to the front Ben Turner coming to the front. Is he just gonna be working for Tom Pidcock now? Kilometers left. 46 kilometers. Just staying up to date with the chat as well. 46 kilometers, 26 seconds, so they've increased it a bit. Greg Van Avermaet, of course. Oliver Naesen has crashed, unfortunately. Was it Oliver Naesen or was it Lawrence Naesen? Yeah, AG2R Citroën built up this, were quite bullish about their chances last year, just generally, but they haven't really delivered, I would say. Third place, though, at Omloop, yeah, something. But Jan Tratnik, the sole rider here for Bahrain Victorious, and then DSM have that big star asset in a way. Søren Kragh Andersen working in here as well. Dwars Vlaanderen, I think we have had a Danish winner in the past, and that was Matti Brexel, however you want to say it. Yeah, way back in 2010. We haven't had any Slovenian winners of the race. The Dutch have actually ruled this race for the last 2 years. Dylan van Baarle last year and Mathieu van der Poel the year before. We haven't had a winner. Well, Yves Lampaert had 2 years where he won this race back to back. But yeah, Quickstep Alpha Vinyl, they'll want to win this. They weren't on the podium last year, and they weren't on the podium the year before as well. And do you know who was second last year? Christophe Laporte. Christophe Laporte, who's just been going strength to strength this year. And yeah, I think Wout van Aert should have let him take the win. But he did let him win in Paris-Nice, so kind of everything, Laporte. But 23 seconds, Thies Benoot is the sole rider up here. What are we saying here? And great to have you here. You sound a lot better. How are the WTF videos coming along? Yeah, we've got one coming out on Friday, so it's a fun little series, I think. So and you guys seem to enjoy it as well. So 44 kilometers to go now, and it's very, very, very tasty now. 24 kilometers, 24 seconds. So it's kind of stagnated here. It's a good. They're all working well in this group. Then in the front, 11 people. Well, I think they're still 11. Johan Jacobs here. Well, if they could stay away, some of these riders could get quite a lot of points for their teams that they weren't expecting. I'm looking at you, Movistar. Movistar not really renowned as a Cobble Classics team. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But Ineos Grenadiers, if they don't get a top 5 here, that is going to be quite bad for them, because they've got 2 riders in such a key moment of the race, and 2 strong riders. Ben Turner has been showing he's quite good. Great to have you here, Mark, in the chat as well. And yeah, if you haven't already, guys, make sure to hit the like button, get involved in the chat, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's try and get this channel to 1,000 before the Giro. But 38% of you believe it's going to be 4th to 10th for Tadej Pogačar. So you don't think... Well, actually, he would have to make the catch if that... Well, some of the riders are probably going to be burnt out. But Tadej Pogačar, he's doing a lot of the work in the second group. He's not shying away from the work like we're seeing some of the other riders are doing in the front group. And, I mean, if you've been in the breakaway all day, I wouldn't... Well, it's like a club ride or whatever. I wouldn't do any work when that catch came. I would just be like, well, I'm spent, and then just try and hang on. So if anyone does a attack on one of the couple climbs, then you can just move with them. Well, if you have anything left in the tank. 42 kilometers. It's just increased out to 27 seconds here. We are on a very long, straight, kind of a flat as well. And yeah, it's getting interesting to see what will happen here. What will happen? I'm just seeing Jack's just texted me because apparently he's overexcited about Ben Turner's chances, because Ben Turner is from the same town as where Jack's from, so he'll be very happy about that. Yeah, great to have you all here from the US. Who do you think is going to win today? That is probably the big question. Now is the time to say. Personally, I think Mathieu van der Poel might take it. 42 kilometers to go, 28 seconds. He's working well, but yeah, and he's not done like a huge attack by himself here. He has kind of worked with other people, so he would have saved a lot of energy compared to what we saw with Tadej Pogačar, who tried to kind of bridge the gap, couldn't quite get up there, but very close though, to say the least. Yeah, would you take Tadej Pogačar to one of these races? I don't know, because it was quite close. It was quite close that he nearly got involved with that crash with Oliver Naesen and Friesson. But yeah, where are Lotto Soudal? Well, that's not really true, because Victor Campenaerts is up here. Yeah, what a signing Victor Campenaerts has been for Lotto Soudal. He's doing a stellar job for his... Well, he used to ride for them before and then came back with them after his NTT adventure, shall we say. But Greg Van Avermaet is pushing on here in the second group. And, yeah, still have a bit of the cough, but it's going to disappear soon. We have a group 3 forming here as well with... Wait for it, guys. All you Americans will be very happy about this. We just mentioned Jack, and he appears in the chat. Magnus Sheffield is in the third group on the road, in a 9-man group, so that's going to be very interesting to see if this young kid can get up here. And yeah, 40% of you think it's going to be 4th to 10th for Tadej Pogačar. So I think it's time for a new poll, actually. Great to have so many over here. Make sure to hit the like button. We are getting very, very... It's going to be very interesting here. They are on the first group are on this climb. The next climb, Tom Pidcock is leading the charge from. Stefan Kung is second wheel. Mathieu van der Poel riding in third wheel. And are they working for Ben Turner, or is it Tom Pidcock, or are they just disregarding this race and it's just kind of they're riding into form with this race? That's probably another question as well. Are they just using this race to tune up their form? Søren Kragh Andersen in the second group is putting on a bit of pressure. Jan Tratnik trying to respond. Brian Kokar is doing a solid ride here. Where is Tadej Pogačar? Oh, he is in there. Tadej Pogačar is in that second group on the road. And yeah, he doesn't seem like he's too bothered about the climbs. He's doing pretty well, Tadej Pogačar. They just come to the top of the climb. Søren Kragh Andersen not doing anything other than here. But so a bit of pace injected here. 30 seconds is the deficit for the second group. I don't think they're going to be catching this first group anytime soon. Because, yeah, everyone's by themselves. There's no second rider for a team. So you haven't, like, Tadej Pogačar hasn't got Mathieu to work for him. Jan Tratnik hasn't got someone else to work for him, like Milan, Jonathan Milan or someone. So I don't see this catch being made. And at the front, it's a very motivated group, you would say. Still 11 riders. They're all still doing their turns. No one's really skipping the turns. So, well, saying that, Mathieu van der Poel just skipped a turn there. So, curse of the commentator, I guess. What are we saying here? Greg van Avermaet needs to get a podium or somewhere, or I think this is his last year. Yeah, potentially. We'll see. Well, I don't think he's going to win Flanders this year for sure, but he would love to win Flanders, but I don't see it happening. He was such a strong rider between like 2013, 2017, but I think he's somewhat on the decline now. But yeah, Jan Tratnik in the second group pushing on here. Why is he just using it as training? Because I feel like he's doing a lot of the work here, or has Tadej Pogačar just said, "Well, do you remember when I let you win the national time trial championships? Now you have to repay it." Who knows? Who knows what's going on? There's probably a lot of loyalty between the Slovenians, as it's such a small country. But of course, they are on different teams. So yeah, wouldn't you love to see a Slovenia World Tour team? That would be quite spectacular. But yeah, 30. They're getting to the next climb here. Ladus. It's 1.2 kilometers long. 5.6% maxes out at 16. 5.6% maxes out at 16%. I don't think it's a cobble climb. So yeah, it's not going to be. Well, it might trouble them. Well, it's not going to trouble them, but maybe they could lose one or two riders, just a few bike lengths here. It's just the sapping effect is just going to take a bit more out of your energy reserves. But 38 kilometers, Mathieu van der Poel looking very, very fresh here. Ben Turner is looking very solid as well. Stefan Kung is leading them up this berg, and Thijs Benoot is second wheel. He's looking very solid as well. So yeah, 37 kilometers to go now. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who has enough in the tank here. Will anyone make any moves in the next 10, 15 kilometers? But 33 seconds now is the gap between them and the second group on the road. At this point, I don't think they're going to be caught. Oh, Thijs Benoot. Thijs Benoot is just testing the legs of the remainder of the group here. Oh, and we lose a rider. We lose one of the Aaron Verliest, the top sport Vlaanderen guy. So yeah, unfortunately, we've just lost. Well, that was what we were saying, that this hill could kind of do, just distance some of the riders. Johan Jacobs is just losing a few bike lengths as well. They might be able to claw it back, but it is just that you're losing a bit more energy. And yeah, and when the fatal attack comes later on in the race, you won't have enough to respond to it. But Johan Jacobs here going out the back, unfortunately. Day over for the Swiss rider. Not even gonna try and fight it. Mathieu van der Poel putting on some pace here at the front, and this is why I think we're not gonna see Tadej Pogačar in this group now. So I think it might be time for a new poll, guys. Yeah, 13% of you believed he wasn't going to finish inside the top 10. He might actually finish inside the top 10 now, because they're going to catch all the stragglers, this second group on the road. So potentially that could, but now it's going to be who's going to win. Who will Who will win today? That is the poll. Who will win today? Mathieu van der Poel, Pidcock, Benoot, or other. I think that's pretty fair. But Søren Kragh Andersen and the other riders, they'll have to put something on here because it's not looking great here. Søren Kragh Andersen wants to do something here. The Dane, such a strong rider, wins in the Tour of California. Has he won in the Tour of California? He did win in the Tour de Suisse, of course, and Tour of Oman, I believe, as well. Yeah, when you're Danish, you kind of have this common knowledge of all the Danish riders because there aren't that many. But yeah, 43 seconds now. Greg van Avermaet at the front. I just don't think they're going to close this gap now. Because at the front, they're riding solidly. And let's just get a screen grab of the group at the front. I don't see it. I don't see them getting caught. I really don't see them getting caught now. Because it's such a solid ride. And what more can you say? It's an incredible group here. I don't think Tadej Pogačar and his merry men will close this gap now. I don't see it. I don't see it. Let me know in the comments. 41 seconds, 35 kilometers to go. In any other race, if it wasn't a classic, you would say this gap won't last. But it's the nature of the race where it's kind of you're breaking the front with sheer power. It's not because they're attacking and the bunch behind them are just letting them go up the road. Everyone's on the limit here, or more or less. So that's the nature of these breakaways in these Vlaanderen classics, that you won't see them get brought back necessarily if you have a strong group at the front. So it's gonna be interesting if they can hold away. Ordenada, of course, we know with the Tour of Flanders. So much history on these roads in Flanders, and yeah, I definitely think as the channel gets bigger, this one as well, we should definitely try and do a meetup at some point. That would be absolutely amazing. Ben Turner is now working for Tom Pidcock, so he's he was just doing a turn here, so it's not even working for Pidcock. Pidcock's doing his turns as well, so. Is this the right moves to do by Ineos Grenadiers? You've got 2 cards to play. We don't know. We can't see the energy levels. They might not actually have anything left in the tank. Who knows really? But 34 kilometers to go. Jan Tratnik still working in that second group. Are they gonna be able to close this gap? I have my doubts here, because you would think, we've only got 2 climbs left to go now. You just don't see it, to be honest. But yeah, good effort here by Kellen O'Brien, the 23-year-old Aussie, who's managed to hang on here. He finished second in those Australian Nationals to was it Plapp? I think it was Plapp, wasn't it? No, it was Cameron Meyer in 2021. Oh yeah, we're in 2022. Silly me. His first year on the World Tour, he was a stagiaire at the end of last year. So, 23 years old, Australian. Can he do something here? Could he potentially just sneak under the radar? And but Greg van Avermaet is sweeping up Johan Jacobs and Aaron Verlietz. So, 33 kilometers to go now, 40 seconds. I think it's game over, guys. I don't think this group is I don't think we're gonna see Tadej Pogačar win. Of course, he's gonna learn something from this. He might in the Tour of Flanders, just hang on to Mathieu van der Poel, and recovery is gonna be very important as well, because there isn't that much time between here, Dwars to Vlaanderen, and of course the Tour of Flanders. So we'll have to see if how much effort this does. Of course, recovery, these pro teams, they know exactly. They're probably the best at recovery in terms of sports, I think, not even just cycling. They're not a World Tour team, Alpecin Phoenix, but they probably will be with the new relegation promotion system. So, yeah, 42 seconds. It's increasing ever more. 32 kilometers left. Everyone's pretty much doing their turns coming through in the front group, and yeah, we're getting ever closer to the next climb, the penultimate climb of the day. And there you go. It's on your screens. You can see the penultimate climb, the profile at least. The Nokerberg, and a bit of a weird profile, you would say. 400 meters, averages 3.3%. Of course, has that middle bit with 7.5%. Will we just see Tadej Pogačar or Mathieu van Aert increase the pace a bit more, as we saw? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think Ewan is gonna come on stream now, so you guys can ask him all about America as well. But yeah, 31 kilometers to go now. Ewan just 31 kilometers to go, 45 seconds, and you just can't see it. You just can't see this gap being closed. And yeah, let's see if I can get Ewan on screen here. Tadej Pogačar pulling through here, Ben Turner pulling through, all of them contributing to the work. Even Aubry's contributing up here. He is looking for a top 10 result here, which will be very good for the Neo Pro rider. Of course, Ben Turner, a Neo Pro rider himself. Quite a different stature between himself and Tom Pidcock, of course. But yeah, let's see if I can get Ewan. But 31 kilometers, 47 seconds, so it's increased even more. Tadej Pogačar and that group, they're just not going to be able to close this gap now. Yeah, the race is disappearing up the road, and it's not going to happen. The dream is over. The fairy tale or whatever. Well, it wasn't even a fairy tale, but yeah, still solid ride by him. I'm just gonna see if I can get Ewan. I can see Ewan, but he can't see you, or we can't see him right now on the stream. So 30 kilometers, 45 seconds, and yeah, we have got Ewan now. All of him in the picture, but now he's here. Great to have you here, Ewan. Let me just adjust your sound level because we've had a bit of issue with sound. Yeah, there we go. You are here with us.
Okay, well, we're going right through Flanders today. That's what the race's name literally means, if you translate it directly. Dwars do Flandre, also known as Travers de Flandre. In French, 30 kilometers to go, 43 seconds for this lead group. It's been an interesting race, hasn't it? It's been a race dominated by Belgian and Dutch riders in recent years. Van Baarle winning it. We saw Van der Poel as well, who's won this race, and a number of other big riders. But this year, it's interesting to see this group up the road. I'm mightily impressed by Ben Turner. I'm sure you've already spoken about him on the stream, but he is riding phenomenally. Also a very good ride from Jan Tratnik. I know he's in the second group, but still, it's a very strong ride from him. And Stefan Kung's up the road. He's doing quite well.
Yeah, it's been an interesting race, and yeah, I mean, I think this says a lot about British cycling as well, where it is now. And yeah, we've got Ben Turner up there. We've got Tom Pidcock as well, but 28 seconds now. And Ewan, it looks like we're not going to have Tadej Pogačar taking the win today.
Apparently not. I mean, he looked good. He was being aggressive, and it was exciting to see that. But at the moment, it looks like it's not going to be Pogačar's day. Van der Poel still in the mix, looking like the most obvious guy in this front group. But Tadej Pogačar has been incredibly strong in recent weeks, so maybe he could snatch something. But the two Ineos guys, I mean, the power of numbers could be quite important for them. The tactically interesting, I'll say that, Victor Campenaerts as well as up here, as is Kelland O'Brien. I don't know much about Kelland O'Brien, but this could be a breakthrough ride for the Australian.
Yeah, we were literally talking about him before. Neo Pro, and this is going to be his best result. So he was in the break earlier, so just hanging on. Well, one of the only riders to hang on from that breakaway. I think. Oh no, Nils Pollard is still up here as well. But Stefan Kung is doing a solid job. And many of these riders, this group has been very fluid. Like no one's sat up, no one's looking around. But yeah, Ewan, if I was one of these other riders, I'd be like, hang on, Ineos Grenadiers have two riders. Why aren't they? They have to throw up Ben Turner.
Maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're waiting. There's still plenty of time and action to be had on this route. There's still that little kicker towards the end, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in this race. It's if it comes down to a sprint, I can't see anybody but Van der Poel winning this. But that would mean maybe I don't know, an engine like Kung or Campenaerts would need to go away. I don't really know what Ben Turner's capabilities will be like if it comes down to a gallop, but I'm sure the Yorkshireman. Actually, well, this is actually a Yorkshire duo, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's Team
They would do
Yorkshire.
quite well,
Team Yorkshire.
but we, yeah, exactly. But we're also on a cobble sector right now. This is Dorn, 900 meters. As we see Campenaerts head to the right-hand side of the road to not ride on the cobbles. Controversial, that tactic, but this weekend, once we get to the Ronde van Vlaanderen, that won't be the case. The cobbles have to be ridden. They place barriers on the sides of the road, so the cobbles have to be taken on by the riders.
So anyway, we are on 24 likes. So if you haven't already, including you, Ewan, hit the like button. Let's try and get to 100 likes. And there is also the poll that we've got going. 75% of you believe it's going to be a Mathieu van der Poel victory, so maybe a return for the 2019 champion. But we're just seeing Tom Pidcock get to the front here of this cobbled sector. He is doing a lot of the work here. Of course, Tom Pidcock hasn't been on the greatest form. And Ewan, do you think some of these riders are just using this race to ride into form, such as Jan Tratnik was doing a lot of the work in the second group?
Yeah, I mean, Tratnik as well as being doing. He was good at San Remo as well. Maybe he's just practicing for the weekend, the weekends to come in the Hillier Classics. But he's currently doing a very good job. And I mean, this is Pogačar just revving away. Look at this, Tadej Pogačar riding away from the Group 2, and Pogačar is. Well, this is phenomenal. We thought this man could really get on with the cobbles, and he's doing that right now. Tadej Pogačar launches a move to jump across to the first group on the road, and it's just the Slovenian Jan Tratnik who seems to be able to follow.
Yeah, it seems like Tadej Pogačar, there's nothing he can't do on a bike. 26 kilometers to go. We're getting ever closer to that final climb, of course. Let's just update here. No, we've got two more climbs, sorry. We've got the Norkenberg, and then we've got the Holstraat as well. And this is going to be very, very interesting to see if they can do anything. But Søren Kragh Andersen missed this move. A lot of the riders missed. I'm surprised, like, so many people let Mathieu van der Poel go up the road and not kind of marked him. Of course, there's a plethora of riders in this group, but yeah, unfortunately, Tadej Pogačar, I think he was just caught out of position here. But yeah, how does Tom Pidcock win this? How does Thies Benoot win this? How are they going to get rid of Mathieu van der Poel?
How do they get rid of Van der Poel? I honestly don't know. I think he's so strong. It's going to be hard to get rid of him. Campenaerts or Kung, I think, are the two guys. Maybe Benoot on that final kicker, but yeah, everything's pointing towards Van der Poel victory. I'm intrigued to see what Nils Pollitt can bring to the party here, but we're seeing the second group on the road. It now contains Pogačar, Tratnik, and Valentin Madouas, who's riding really well, actually, Madouas. He's my wild card for Ronde. You'll see that in the preview show. But I think he's doing really well at the moment. Groupama actually have had a solid Cobble Classics campaign so far.
Yeah, Jan Tratnik still pushing on the front here. No Matej Morhic here. And the Slovenian is here working with one of your favorite riders, Valentin Madouas. I think you've mentioned his name more than his own wife or girlfriend has, or mother.
True. But Valentin and to his mother, my inbox is open, and I'll be happy to do a paid promotion on behalf of the Madouas name.
Greg Van Avermaet.
This is Greg van
Yeah.
Avermaet somewhere.
Just getting caught here by I believe the fourth group on the road it must be, but yeah, not great for AG2R Citroën. They of course had Nassen crash early on, and their star asset in it. Well, no, actually their star asset now is probably Ben O'Connor, but in terms of the classics, it's not going to be a Greg Van Avermaet day. 24 kilometers to go now, 36 seconds now, so the deficit has come down about a few seconds here. We are on the next cobbled sector. It's not kind of a climb, but it definitely is a few cobbles. We also got told that the riders have been told not to ride on the paths, so they would actually get disqualified if they ride on the side paths. We've seen that so many times throughout the years, and I think the organizers were looking to stop that behavior. So we'll have to see if that actually gets enforced. But Tadej Pogačar here, second group. The two Slovenians, him and Traknik, they're looking to, they really want to try and close this gap. But yeah, I don't see Tadej Pogačar winning this, because even if they get up there, they'll be the riders with less energy expended throughout the day, and yeah.
Never put anything past Pogačar. If I've learned one thing, it's that. But yeah, if they get up here, I think Pogačar maybe could contend for the podium there in a sprint. But we'll have to wait and see. Madouas as well. I mean, he's the guy who is a little bit more of a wild card here. He has a decent sprint. He's come top 10 in Amstel before. Who knows what he could bring to this buffet. But up in front, just to recap the names, it is Tom Pidcock, Ben Turner, Tish Benota, Belgium, Mathieu van der Poel, also Victor Campenaerts, Nils Pollitt, Stefan Kung, and Kelland O'Brien, or O'Brien, who knows if he wants to pronounce it the Irish way or not.
Yeah, Mathieu van der Poel though, you have to say he's been riding into some good form. Third at Milan San Remo. I feel like I'm just repeating what we said in the preview. The preview is going to come out after this on the main channel. But yeah, a win. Well, he went to Coppi Bartoli. It wasn't the most star-studded field, but at least came away with a victory and potentially also a lot of good race training, if you will. Probably why he neglected to go to E3 and get Wevelgem and just we were talking about this. They've kind of avoided each other, Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel, quite a lot this season. And definitely leading up to the Tour of Flanders, they've tried to avoid each other as much as possible.
Yeah, they have accidentally avoided each other. They didn't go to the same beginning of March stage race. A bit like Pog and Rog, just kind of avoiding each other, ready for that grand crescendo, which we are going to see. We saw a bit of a crescendo at the Classicissima at Milan San Remo, but we'll see it once again once we get to the Ronde van Vlaanderen this weekend.
Yeah, I'm so annoyed that Mathieu van der Poel isn't the Dutch road race champion. Because it was just such a iconic image of those two in the 2020 Tour of Flanders, Belgian, Dutch champions. But nevertheless, that was a tangent and a half. 22 kilometers to go. The deficit has come down now, 33 seconds to that Slovenian duo with a French rider. And Groupama FDJ though, Ewan, they must be liking this. They've got one rider in the main group and then one in the second group, or one rider in the first group and one in the second group. So they could be on for getting potentially two riders in the top 10.
Yep, exactly. They should be on the cards here. I mean, if Madouas makes up, don't forget as well there is that group floating around with Brian Kokar, Johan Jakobsen, Carnesen, and Auden Verwilst. Don't know much about him, but he's lurking in that group as well. So they could potentially bridge up to that Pogačar, Tratnik, Madouas group, but I mean, it's looking pretty good for a double top 10 for them. But we're now on the Nokedeberg.
Mathieu van der Poel is moving. Mathieu van der Poel is moving here on the penultimate climb of the day. Mathieu van der Poel is putting in a bit of an acceleration here. Looks like he is attacking. He's moving away from the Ineos Grenadiers boys. Looks like it's Ben Turner's trying to keep on the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel. He's just managing to match it. Some solid riding by the Doncaster rider, and Team Yorkshire are on the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel here. So, yeah, the two cyclocross riders not letting the cyclocross demigod escape up the road here. So right now we've got 3 cyclocross riders at the, pointy end of the race. But Stefan Kung just closes the gap. Thies Benoot still up here. And O'Brien is still here. So the Australian doing a solid ride here. But Tadej Pogačar and Jan Tratnik, they will have to up the tempo here to match that acceleration that we've just seen from the front group. They are losing more time now. 34 seconds is just increased to 20 kilometers is all that separates these riders from the finish. But what an addition of Dwars Vlaanderen this has been. Not been a stale race by, well, it's kind of been stale when the two groups were formed, but there are attacks happening left, right, and center, and it will be good to see Tadej Pogačar being thrown into the Tour of Flanders. He might just add another bit of spice to a very solid race, but Victor Kampenaerts trying to move up the front here. The Yorkshire duo are trying to close the gap here, but Victor Kampenaerts is doing a solid race today, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with Victor Kampenaerts is that he usually attacks in quite strange places, a bit like his teammate Tim Wellens. Like, now doesn't feel like the right time to go. He can't time trial the last 20 kilometers when there's a big group behind with 2 teammates in there. It seems almost silly to do so.
It's increasing.
Give it some time. Give it some time. I don't think this is the winning move.
Well, I don't think he's going to win any other way than trying to catch these guys by surprise. But you are right. There is 2 riders from Ineos Grenadiers. It's just how much did that Mathieu van der Poel attack sap out of Ben Turner, for instance?
Exactly, but I don't know. I find it hard with Kampenaerts to understand a lot of his rationale when he does these moves. At the Giro last year, he was in so many breakaways. Yes, he ended up winning a stage. We just see Tish Benoot tried to accelerate now. He won on so many breakaways, but he would attack in silly places. The one stage he won, it was against weak competition. He won a sprint against Oscar Riesebeek, who's a rider that I don't think I've really mentioned otherwise, apart from that one stage of the Giro into Nova Gorica. So I don't know, it's interesting, but he is about to get caught. So Gruppo Compato now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
As Van der Poel comes to the front, Stefan Kung is here as well. We just have more attacking points still to come. It's not like this race is over and done with yet.
No, but this young Australian, he is in, solid riding from him.
Yep, Kellen O'Brien or O'Brien, I'm sure they'll say O'Brien, from Melbourne in Australia, 23 years old, born on the 22nd of May, 1998. He's 1.92 m. He's quite tall then. He came second at the Road Race Championships for the Elite Seniors in 2021.
We've literally said this.
Well, we're just saying it once again for anybody who may have forgotten. But he's not on the professional start list for Ronde yet.
Probably will be
but that
now.
could change after today.
Top 10? Then wouldn't you throw him in there just to see? Yeah, why not?
Maybe so, but now this is a rider from Ineos Grenadiers coming to the front. This is the taller man, Ben Turner, who has made a brilliant name for himself over the past week in Flanders. Maybe he's the next big protege. I heard someone call him the future Luke Rowe, which could be the case. And I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Ben Turner until about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, crash.
But he's certainly putting his name on the map. Oh,
I think the motorbike crashed there. That was a bit weird. Anyway, you were saying? That was strange. Yeah, there was no remnants of a motorbike afterwards, so I don't think they crashed. I think they saved it. But I think some camera just hit the motorbike there. You could just hear like quite a metallic noise. But anyway, 17 kilometers to go, 43 seconds. I don't think it's going to be a Tadej Pogačar day, unfortunately. But he could potentially salvage a top 10, that's for sure. That would be a good result as well. But Tom Pidcock moving to the front. Victor Kampenaerts second wheel. Then we got Thies Benoot. Then we have got Niels Pollitt, who's been keeping himself quite quiet. as well. He's one of the two riders from that earlier break. Aubry, the other guy. But Mathieu van der Poel looking very smooth here. Very, very smooth.
Yeah, as he always does, it's the upper body strength that he has over other riders and the control over the bike. Um, yeah, like you mentioned Pollitt. I think in comparison to Pollitt and Campenaerts, both of them need to win on their own. Pollitt is not making these silly attacks in the wrong places. I'm sure Pollitt will give a very good move eventually. He did so to win that stage into Nîmes at the Tour de France last year. As we just see Ben Turner coming to the front out of the saddle. Yeah, I mean, with Kellen O'Brien, he comes into this one as a bit of the unknown. I don't really know what his sprinting credibilities are. They don't seem to be so great on his Palmares, but maybe he can get a good result today. You never know what could arise. I mean, apart from that, Pidcock's a good sprinter. He beat Van Aert over at the Brabantse Pijl. As we just see Kellen O'Brien get out the saddle, maybe just stretching out his legs a little bit, stretching them out, getting some pressure into them to ease out the lactic acid.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably won't know how his legs are feeling. This is probably the first time. Well, it definitely is the first time he's been in a finale of a big World Tour one-day race. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if he can sustain this. I think a top 10 position will be absolutely amazing for him. We're just seeing pictures of the Hippodrome, which I believe is the horse race. I think I saw one I can't remember where, in Paris.
Yep. There's quite a lot of hippodromes here. A lot in Spain as well. But that was the Haverbeek Hippodrome.
15 kilometers, and they're just coming around. I think, are they going into the Hippodrome?
It almost looks like we're doing that. But yeah, if you want any more information, this is Haverbeek. It's where the Waregem Koerse is held, where it used to be held every year, horse racing event. I am currently translating this from the Wikipedia page, so it is quite difficult. There was the football team KSV Waregem used to play here as well. So there you go. A cultural experience as we head into Waregem.
Right. Well, we have this dead time as well, in a way. Who would it favor in a sprint? Mathieu van der Poel, obviously. Tom Pidcock, what would he want to wait for? Would he want to wait for a sprint or get up the road with a smaller group that doesn't contain Mathieu van der Poel? And then most of the other riders would need to get away from themselves. So yeah, it's going to be a bit spicy on the final climb.
If I were Pidcock, I'd want to stay with Van der Poel for a sprint.
You think he can beat Mathieu van der Poel?
I think he has I don't think he will, but I think he has the confidence that he could do so after beating Van Aert last year at the Brabantse Pijl. Similar kind of scenario. Also at Amstel Gold as well. Don't forget he was in a photo finish with Wout. So he can sprint with the best, can Tom Pidcock. So I don't know. If I were him, I'd be confident about my sprint. He also has the teammate advantage. Don't forget that one with Ben Turner. That could really change things. With 15 kilometers to go, getting closer and closer to the finishing line of Dwars door Vlaanderen, at travers de Flandre. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just feeling that there's something about Pollitt today. I'm getting a strong vibe that Pollitt could do something special. He's not the marked man because everyone knows Benoit's on good form. If Benoit goes off, well, everyone's going to have to try to follow. Pollitt has this sort of style of never give up. And I think he could really drive it all the way to the line. But that is with the caveat that he doesn't bring Van der Poel all the way there, which will be interesting.
Eric is just reminding of what we were talking about earlier, that yeah, because we have so many Americans in the chat, that they wanted to know a bit more about your trip and potentially could meet you up. But yeah, 13 kilometers, 44 seconds between the Slovenian duo and the French guy, well, Madouaz, and the front end of the group. So yeah, Ewan, you have 2 minutes. 1 minute.
Okay. I'm flying into Chicago on the 1st of August. Spending what 5 days in Chicago. Then I get an overnight train from Chicago down to Austin, Texas, where I will be spending 2 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks ish in Austin, Texas. Actually, the beginning of the Volta a España will be live from Texas, which will be interesting since the racing will probably kick off at about 4 a.m. But yeah, that is the plan. Hoping to do a couple road trips in between, maybe to Louisiana or somewhere else near Texas. But I'm intrigued to see more about the United States of America. As we see Victor Campenaerts, see, there we go. 12 kilometers to go. Victor Campenaerts there gives not a happy face to the camera. I don't know. I don't know about Campenaerts. He doesn't wear sunglasses, so you can read his emotions a little bit more than the other riders.
Yeah, it's the one metric that everyone would love. You have it on video games and cycling, but you don't have it in real life, of course. How much energy have they got left? How much are they hurting? We want to see heart rates. Come on, guys, give us some data. And I think cycling misses the
Well,
opportunity on certain things, and even like velo, when we see the angle from the peloton, that should be in real time, but that's very hard to logistics. But you should learn from Formula One.
but then at the same time, like RCS tried to bring in that graphic about the red zone, about how where these riders are in terms of their red zone, and I just think it's completely inaccurate. I don't think I've ever seen anybody's red zone graphic be more than 30%, even in the last 10 kilometers of a stage, which seems silly almost. But we have 12 kilometers to go, 45 seconds of a lead for this group. They are bound to win, I believe. And Campenaerts goes off the back. Is he waiting for an attack? Is he just drifting? Is he not feeling great?
Who knows? But we are on
So many
another
questions.
couple section. Mathieu van der Poel, 800 meters here, and he's just taking charge. We've got the young Aubry as well, just looking in to make sure that he doesn't lose any positions here. Stefan Kung in there as a truck just passes the race. We're of course very close to a big main road. But yeah, Mathieu van der Poel driving this group right now. The two Ineos Grenadiers boys towards the back end of the bunch. The only rider behind them is Victor Campenaerts. But Niels Pollitt isn't looking too bad, to be honest. But yeah, I think Bora Hansgrohe would have loved this kind of position, getting a potential top 10 to top 5.
Yeah, given that they've tried so hard to, given that tried so hard to bolster their team this year, I don't think they've quite had the perfect string of results that they would have hoped for. Vlasov missing the podium in Paris-Nice and also at UAE, but Pickel coming awfully close to a photographer there around the corner. But yeah, Bora, I just think need to get a couple more victories to prove their point this year. But Alpecin Fenix here on the front. It's still Mathieu van der Poel with Tish Benoot in second place. Tish Benoot named after a country singer. The best fact about Tish Benoot. Third wheel is Kelland O'Brien as well, the 23-year-old from Melbourne. And behind him, it is Stefan Kung, third place at Idri. Kung is looking confident at this time of year. He's done very well in the past, so you never know with him. But I'm quite team Pollitt here. I mean, I do think Van der Poel's going to win this, but I'm hoping for a strong result from Nils Pollitt. He puts in a lot of effort for other people and doesn't necessarily get the results for himself that he merits.
Ricky was just saying that Lance Armstrong is in Austin, Texas. It would be so funny if you made a video. I tried to find Lance Armstrong.
But to be fair, I do listen to his
Yeah, I
podcast.
like
I think
him.
he's an interesting
Well,
figure.
I like his
And
podcast.
yeah, I mean, he does frequently mention this bike store in Austin, so I think I'd have to check that one out.
47 seconds now between the front group and the two Slovenians. And Valtin Madouas. And I don't think it's going to be a day for Tadej Pogačar, but of course I think it's been a very good showing by him in his first ever World Tour Cobble Classic. 10 kilometers is all that's left of his first experience, and it will definitely serve him for Sunday. So who knows what he can do on Sunday, but it definitely will be interesting. He said at the start of the race that he wasn't coming here for Tour de France preparation. He said he's coming here because he loves racing, and he wants to be part of the biggest races in cycling, and this is the home of cycling. So he certainly knows he certainly knows where to go for the biggest races. So he is just trying to win Tour of Flanders, and I think a lot of people don't really respect that. They think that he's trying to like tune up his cobble riding. No, he's trying to win, be in the mix for Tour of Flanders. So I think it's absolutely extraordinary to see. And speaking of Lance Armstrong, we normally saw or Chris Froome as well, these Tour de France winners that had this laser focus on just winning the Tour. So it's great to see him just getting in the mix. But yeah, 9.3 kilometers, still 47 seconds, so they're not going to bring this back now.
Exactly that, 9.3 kilometers to go, 47 seconds of a gap between these two groups. And it is going to be this one. We have a little kicker left to go that could decide things on this course. Mathieu van der Poel at the front. The man born just outside of Antwerp, just north of Antwerp, in fact, in the town of Capelle. Just south of Antwerp, you can find the town of Hoboken, the namesake of Hoboken in the United States. That's where Victor Campenaerts is from. They had the two of the three Belgians in this group, but we're on the Holstraat right now, 400 meters in length. 5.7% average gradient. Stefan Kung on the right-hand side of the picture. You can see the two Ineos guys through the centers, Ben Turner and Tom Pidcock. Now, the unknown quantity, Kellen O'Brien, just hanging on there. But at the back, Victor Campenaerts looks like he's struggling, and so is Nils Pollitt, maybe. They're both at the back of the group. But Mathieu van der Poel just comes to the front, looks round as Pidcock now just puts on the pressure, just stamps on the pedals a little bit. As we cut back to Pogačar, Tratnik, and to Valentin Madouas. So these three guys, well, they're pushing away, they're trying to bridge up, but it's almost a potato chase at this point. So around the corner we go, and it looks like that is the end of the Holstraat there. And we have our last kicker out of the way. Can anybody else try to make a final move before the end? Van der Poel really trying to put on the pressure here to drop some more riders, to drop Pollitt and Campenaerts, as we see Tish Benoit now as well coming up side by side. The road continues to kick up, so the Holstraat does carry on, and it looks like Van der Poel is really putting on the pressure.
Stefan Kuhn is the rider who's putting on the throttle here, trying to distance anyone if you can. Victor Campenaerts looks like he's sticking on. He just let out 2 bike lengths, but he's back in the group now. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a. You've got to think it's gonna be a sprint finish. I can't see anyone getting let off the road in this group because they've all worked so hard for this result.
Exactly that, and I mean, we all just saw how quickly Van der Poel just reacted to Stefan Kung. I think that's almost a statement of where his form is at.
Campenaerts trying to go. Yeah, he's trying to go now. Stefan Kung looking to respond. The Yorkshire boys are the ones who's taking up the charge. Tom Pidcock is the one closing the gap here, but no one's following Pidcock. So now the gap's opening, and this is how it could be lost now. Mathieu van der Poel needs to do something here. And this is perfectly played by Ben Turner, just refusing to come through after Tom Pidcock was trying to close the gap down to Victor Campenaerts. Absolutely good play here by the young Ben Turner. But it looks like Mathieu van der Poel is just going to be up to the challenge here to close the gap to Pidcock, but they still haven't closed the gap to Victor Campenaerts. How much juice has he got left in the tank, or gas, Victor Campenaerts? He's absolutely, he probably shouldn't have attacked before, and then he would have had more energy for this kind of attack, because this is looking a bit strong. Right now we've got Mathieu van der Poel versus Campenaerts, and right now Campenaerts is winning. Yeah, Mathieu van der Poel looks around, and I don't think he wants to bring this back by himself.
Well, no, but I think Ben Turner has to really try to bring this one back.
This is how it could get one. This is exactly the kind of scenario. Yeah, you're right. This is where you go. Ineos, you've got two guys. One of you go up there.
Exactly, and I mean, Van der Poel, just looking around, but Ineos wants to bring this back. Campenaerts has a 1, 2, 3, 4 second advantage at the moment. It is still easily bridgeable by any of these riders. Stefan Kung now stamps out the pedals. Here comes Nils Pollitt as well to try to bring something back. So everyone now is trying to attack and bridge up to Victor Campenaerts, who was brave to go on his own to start with, but now maybe is not in the prime position to take this. But he is out in front, but everyone behind is trying to surge on. We see it's Nils Pollitt, Stefan Kung as well. Kelland O'Brien is also trying to close the gap. Mathieu van der Poel as well responding as Nils Pollitt just looks round. Whooshing past comes Stefan Kung, King Kung, with van der Poel in the wheel as Campenaerts now comes round that left corner. The man from Hoboken just outside of Antwerp. Swing round the corner we go. Van der Poel there, 3 seconds in arrears. It is still possible that they make it up, but Dwars door Vlaanderen, the unique thing about this race, it's on very narrow roads. They swing from left to right. We're almost in farmers' fields here, and it looks like Campenaerts is really doing something special, but Van der Poel really bringing this one back. Stefan Kung as well, just following the move, and I mean, I'm not quite convinced that this is the winning move from Campenaerts. And we just see Tadej Pogačar now stamping out the pedals. Tadej Pogačar goes, and the rider from Ineos follows. That looks like it could be Pidcock, and now Van der Poel has to react once again.
Yeah, Mathieu van der Poel really is the rider that everyone's looking at. Nils Pollitt goes up the road with Ben Turner. Ben Turner's following the wheel of Nils Pollitt, and Mathieu van der Poel needs to make sure that he's gonna be on this wheel of Ben Turner. But yeah, it's all still, it's getting very spicy now. It's 5.3 kilometers to go. Of course, the Slovenians are 1 minute down the road, but it looks like Campenaerts is going to be joined by Tadej Pogačar and Tom Pidcock here. Yeah, they make the catch.
Yeah, well, I mean, Campenaerts there. I think going a little bit too early. I think he was just a little bit too eager to go, especially when these guys obviously have the legs there. They proved in the climb, and they proved it by working together. No one's expended astronomically more energy than anybody else. Maybe O'Brien because he was in the breakaway, but now the riders just snake round with 5 kilometers to go. It's these three up in front, but the gap is coming down. But it is Van der Poel who has to do all this work. 1, 2, 3 seconds of a gap. Van der Poel charged with the effort of bringing it back. Stefan Kung hanging around at the back of the group. Nils Pollitt as well, who hasn't showed much. He's trying to attack. But here we go. Van der Poel out the saddle. Van der Poel giving a good old move here to bridge up the Pidcock, Campenaerts and Tadej Pogačar in front. And look at that. He's done it almost instantaneously.
Yeah, he closed that gap like it was nothing. How much has he got left, though? 4.4 kilometers. That's all that we've got between the finish and these riders. And should be very interesting. 4.3 kilometers. And yeah, we've got Ineos Grenadiers leading the front now with Tom Pidcock, Victor Campenaerts second wheel. And it looks like it is Mathieu van der Poel third wheel. He's determined not to escape up the road, let anyone escape up the road right now. But yeah, Ineos Grenadiers, I think this might be game over. But Campenaerts is looking to try and sneak off the front again. I love how aggressive he is. This is really good racing to see, but Tadej Pogačar, very clever riding by him, is second now. He's on the wheel of Victor Campenaerts. If he can use him as a launching pad, potentially Pogačar could take this. But yeah, Mathieu van der Poel is not wanting to close this gap now. And I think Stefan Kung is the rider between the two Belgians at the front and the remaining of the group right now. So it's getting very, very spicy here. Very tactical for sure. 2.9 kilometers to go.
Exactly, and we all know that Campenaerts needs to win this on his own and to be alone for the finale. It doesn't look like it's happening at all right now. Tadej Pogačar pushing on. Can Jumbo-Visma get another Classics victory with another rider? We've seen Wout van Aert win already, the Omloop het Nieuwsblad. We saw him win Idri Halbeke arm in arm with Christophe Laporte, and now it may be good to see Tadej Pogačar get the victory today. But behind, it is a rampaging Stefan Kung. Mathieu van der Poel wants to win it from a sprint behind to take his second victory of this race. The history of Dwars door Vlaanderen, it's very Dutch, it's very Belgian, and at the moment, it's the two Belgians up in front who look to be in pole position, but the gap is coming down very, very quickly. Stefan Kung with almost a 1 second deficit to the front as Tom Pidcock comes towards the front.
Yeah, it's getting very close now. 2.3 kilometers. The two riders, they still have about 2, maybe 1 second. Pidcock is looking to close. Stefan Kung is on the wheel of Pidcock. Mathieu van der Poel, third wheel in that second group. But Victor Campenaerts, Thies Benoot, yeah, they're not going to stay away, these two, unfortunately. But it is very iconic roads. Stefan Kung, the young Australian, still up here as well. Could we potentially see another underdog upset? Yeah, Pidcock is attacking now. Pidcock is attacking. Victor Campenaerts scrambling to get onto the leads or the Yorkshireman's wheel. Thies Benoot still up here as well. How good is Thies Benoot in the sprint? We haven't really pondered about that too much. Stefan Kung, they're all, yeah, Benoot going. Benoot, this could be it. This could be the win, and Mathieu van der Poel knows it. Mathieu van der Poel doesn't want to let Benoot go. This is going to be quite tense. There's 1.6 kilometers to go. Thies Benoot and Mathieu van der Poel are disappearing up the road. I think this is it. I think it's going to be number 1 and number 2 in the reverse order. This is going to get very close. No one's got the legs to respond to these two.
Well, if it is down to these two, well, they're from the two gargantuan teams we're going to be looking at this weekend, Jumbo-Visma and Alpecin-Fenix. And wouldn't it be a +1 mentally if Mathieu van der Poel gets the victory today? He wants to get rid of Pidcock. He doesn't want to see the group behind, but he's done most of the work for the final or for this last 8 kilometers. He does not want a repeat of last year's Ronde van Vlaanderen on the streets of Waregem today. But with 1 kilometer to go, it's looking awfully tense between these two guys. Tadej Benoot in the yellow, Mathieu van der Poel in the familiar navy blue of Alpecin-Fenix. Now in the group behind, the riders scrambling for third place. Will it be Stefan Kung to snap up another third place? But it all seems like it's come a little bit too late. Ben Turner now just trying to push on for Pidcock, but it's not going to work, I don't think. The two in front are desperate for a victory today. Van der Poel needs this big monument, well, needs this big Cobble Classic victory to his name before the Ronde van Vlaanderen to get on terms with Wout van Aert mentally. But also Tadej Benoot wants to crack the mentality of Mathieu van der Poel by taking this victory in Dwars door Vlaanderen. But I mean, Mathieu van der Poel, he's won on these roads before, beating Anthony Turgis in a sprint back in 2019 when he was Dutch champion. They go through the final corner, 300 meters to go, awfully close to the barriers, and they start looking at each other. Van der Poel launches it. Van der Poel still out in front. Tadej Benoot still waiting there, but Van der Poel has invested so much. Van der Poel still up in front. Tadej Benoot almost sits up. It's going to be Mathieu van der Poel once again in Waregem for Dwars door Vlaanderen 2022. It is Mathieu van der Poel who takes it ahead of Tadej Benoot. Third place goes to Tom Pidcock ahead of Victor Campenaerts. What a win for Van der Poel for everything he put into that race. It's the former Dutch champion, the former Ronde van Vlaanderen champion, the man who will go into this weekend as the person to watch. It is the MVP, Mathieu van der Poel, who takes the victory today once again. And, you know, he never wins a race in a dull manner. He lit this up, and that final 5 kilometers, well, I'll tell you now, was absolutely phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, incredible racing there for Mathieu van der Poel. We'll, of course, get you the top 10 before we all disappear. Great to have over 100 people here. Make sure to hit the like button. Let's try and get to 100. And just a reminder, we've got the Tour of Flanders show coming out on the main channel today, so that's going to be very interesting. And yeah, we're going to do the Tour of Flanders yet again. Hopefully with no technical problems this year, but Tour of Flanders and technical problems seems to go hand in hand for us. So yeah, we'll just get you the top 10 before we disappear. Remember, subscribe to this channel. Let's try and get it to 1,000 before we get to the Giro d'Italia. It's grown quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, so thanks every single one of you who's already subscribed. But yeah, Mathieu van der Poel regains the title of this this race, 2019, where he won it last time, and he of course also won. Well, no, he didn't win the Tour of Flanders that year. He won that the following year. He finished 4th after crashing spectacularly in 2019. But yeah, incredible to see. But like, we're getting the sprint for the 9th place here. Tadej Pogačar, Jan Tratnik, Valentin Madouas. It looks like it might actually be Jan Tratnik who's going to take the 9th place here, or is Tadej Pogačar just going to pip his countrymen here? Ooh, I think Tadej Pogačar finishes inside the top 10. Yeah, 9th for Jan Tratnik here, so 10th for Tadej Pogačar. So 2 Slovenians in the top 10. Who would have thought that in a Cobble race? We're not having Matej Mohoric here. So big points there for, well, points in terms of the World Tour rankings. So we'll have to wait and see what that does in terms of the standings. And we're just waiting for the standings. But what a result, Ewan, for the young Australian. He was in the breakaway and managed to hang on even from all these acceleration for the big people, big riders.
Exactly. Yeah, pushing away from most of the favorites there. And yeah, absolutely fantastic win. As we see the interview here, I'll just try to tune into this one.
Mathieu van der Poel nearly got hit with the microphone in his face. I'm just waiting for the top 10 as well, so they haven't given us that yet. But in terms of our poll, I think you guys guessed it completely right. 70% of you thought it was going to be Mathieu van der Poel victory. And yeah, he's repaid your faith. Here we go. We have got a top 10. We got a top 11. Oh, we're spoiled. And a lot of non-finishers in this race. So I'll just get it up for you. Here we go. There is your top 10. Number 1, Mathieu van der Poel takes his second title in Dwars Vlaanderen. Thijs Benoot is the highest placed Belgian rider. And then we've got Tom Pidcock taking a podium. That kind of snuck under the radar for us, but a good podium for Tom Pidcock, really coming back into form. Victor Kampenaerts gets a 4th place, so he'll be happy with that. Some good points for Lotto Soudal. Niels Pollitt, the rider who was in the breakaway all day, managed to stick with it and finish 5th, so I think that's a very good result for the German as well. Stefan Kung, very aggressive all day, but unfortunately he loses out in this final bit of push that we had, so 6th place for the Swiss Tempo engine. And then Kellen Aubry, or however you want to say it, from Team Bike Exchange, what a solid effort from him. 7th place for the Neo Pro, and then behind him we've got another Neo Pro, Ben Turner. Must have been very exhausted, managing to stand up to the attacks from Mathieu van der Poel, and Jan Tratnik and Tadej Pogačar make out the rest of the top 10, with Valentin Madouas finishing 11th. And I think he might have joined the most wins in this, if I'm not wrong. But Dwars Vlaanderen seems to be a favorite of Mathieu van der Poel, and he's just talking English now as well. Yeah, he says he was the strongest guy in the group, which is, yeah, of course he was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was talking about the fast finale, and also about how he was in Spain as well over the past couple of weeks to prepare for his return to racing, which is interesting. A lot of riders opting to go to Spain before their big targets, but yeah, he's looking forward to this weekend, and he says his form is super. That's what I heard from the Dutch interview. But
well, yeah, he basically said the same thing, and I think the big question here now is he the favorite for Tour of Flanders?
Well, I would say yes, but I mean, my opinions on Mathieu van der Poel are pretty well broadcast out there. I think he's going to rise. He rises to the big occasions. He's incredibly consistent. And I think, yeah, I think he comes into this as the favorite, him and Wout. But I think Wout's got the stronger team. There was a crash today from Michael Gogol, which is not great in terms of the team numbers for Alps and Phoenix. But Jumbo also lost Tosh van der Sande as well last weekend, so it's going to be interesting. I think those two definitely come as the favorites. I'm not convinced about Quickstep, who still missed the top 10 once again at the UCI World Tour Flemish Classics this year. It's not looking good for Quickstep. I'm not going to suggest Asgreen is a fix for the podium.
Anyways, with that, thanks very much for every single one of you who joined today. Make sure to like on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think we went up a few subscribers today on the Cycling Dane Extra channel. Of course, today we're going to have the preview show out on the main channel, so look out for that. And yeah, that's basically it for today. And on Sunday, of course, we're going to have a Flanders stream, so that should be very good. And on Friday, we should have the next WTF video as well. So all good stuff to come out on both channels. So, and tomorrow we're going to have a very interesting video from Jack as well on this channel. So all things are happening on the Cycling Dane stuff. So yeah, thanks every single one of you, and you and I, we will see you again very soon. Actually, we'll see you in the preview if you're watching the preview later on today. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.